Hey, happy Friday, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well out there. We have an opportunity. Here we are, once again. And hey, I'm standing tonight. You know what that means. If we're standing, that means it's a pay-per-view weekend. Welcome to On the Ring Apron for Money in the Bank weekend. I am Steve. Now, you'll notice we're a little light on host tonight. Usually my partner in crime is hanging around here somewhere, but as you can see, she's a little occupado at the moment. As a famous former WWE star once said, we got kids. And unfortunately, that child needs a little attending to right now, but she will be joining us here shortly. But to open up things, as you know, for those of you who joined us for our WrestleMania show, you know that we always do a preview weekend going into our pay-per-view weekends. Money in the Bank will be no exception. But of course, we start off with our weekly show here for On the Ring Apron. But first, a very special announcement. For those of you who have been following live feeds, not just with us, but with anybody that's on Instagram, you know that they are now doing fundraisers to help special organizations, special charities, to be able to help us during these, very difficult times. We try our best not to talk about it too much unless it's been affecting the WWE universe. And we're going to be no exception. So tonight we are partnering with the CDC Foundation because we do here in Atlanta rep the Falcons tonight. Hey, the NFL schedule came out. We're thrilled about that. But as everyone knows, it is very critical that people are keeping themselves healthy, keeping themselves safe. And so we want to make sure that every opportunity is put in for people to be able to keep themselves safe. And of course, one of the biggest factors that everyone's looking for right now is for them to hopefully find a vaccine and some kind of potential cure later on in the future. Hey to everyone that's jumping in. But we want to make sure that, we are doing our part as well. Obviously, we're still very fledgling to this. We're still very new. So we want the opportunity to be able to try to put it out there, even if you don't necessarily provide a donation through us, because 100% of the proceeds, we don't see a cent of it. Any proceeds that you guys do during this particular stream or any of our streams going forward, all of it goes right to the CDC Foundation. We know it's a good cause, and that's not necessarily the only organization we're going to team up with. Of course, as you well know, with being part of Mania Club, check out their site. They team up with Connor's Cure. We're no doubt going to be doing some stuff with them in the future. But for tonight, again, CDC Foundation. Go check out their website, see the amazing work they're doing, what the responding team is doing right now. They're doing fantastic work, not only keeping us safe, but also working towards getting us back to normalcy. So take the time to enjoy that. But, enough of that fun. We got the, got to keep the bills paid and everything else, and now let's get to some fun. This week for WWE, of course, was the lead-in to Money in the Bank. As you know, of course, the big stories being the two Money in the Bank contracts for both the men's and women's Money in the Bank contracts. The winner of those contracts, those ladder matches, getting a championship match against a champion of their choosing. They've kind of gone back and forth as to whether it's brand related or whether it's, any champion. Typically, I think it's just whatever happens to fit the bill. But it's going to end up being a championship match for the winner at any time and any place of their choosing. We've seen so many wrestlers in their time as Money in the Bank winners really bide and wait for their moment, and I don't anticipate this being any different. But that is Sunday. We do have, of course, our spoiler show coming up tomorrow. More on that in a little bit. So let's review what happened this week. We begin on Monday Night Raw. A lot of the matches being set up to kind of lead us into Money in the Bank, setting up your three women's contenders by having them go on to MVP's MVP Lounge and end up kind of jawing back and forth at each other, with ultimately Nia ended up going, kind of symbolically through a table, and then with Shayna and Asuka kind of having their jaw off and stare off at the end. And then the women on SmackDown tonight, Carmella and Dana Brooke, each getting a chance to spout off on their thoughts. So you really could see, they're setting up the women's match quite nicely through both of the shows. And so we'll be interested to see how it goes. I see my partner has arrived, so I'm going to take a little half step in this direction. And, of course, welcome in my co-host, Kia.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
And as I said already, we're like a certain former WWE star. We got kids, so it comes with the territory. So hey, even we're not immune to it. Hey,
nope.
Little man decides Showtime needs to be a little late or one co-host short. Hey, he runs this house, whether we will admit it or not.
Oh no, I admit it. I fully well know when I had him, he ran the house.
There you go. And then, of course, also continuing the storyline with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre starting to get themselves ready for their WWE Championship match at Money in the Bank. Raw, really not putting too much out there per se. Really, the biggest factor being the team that MVP put out there to beat Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, basically setting up another potential tag team in the division, and then also the Viking Raiders going over the Street Profits, the current Raw champions. Is there a chance maybe a pre-show match or a future championship match?
Now, y'all all know, including you, how much I love my tag team. It was one thing when Triple H actually came up with the idea for all this. I don't know what to say. There's just a lot going on there with these tag teams and the newbies who have come in. We don't know nothing about them. I don't know nothing about them, so I'm excited to see what they've got. Now, in case of the Street Profits, those are my boys. I love them. I really do. I just want to see how that's going to work out since they were beaten by this other team. If I saw it correctly, correct?
They lost to the Viking Raiders.
Yeah. And so, as much as I love the Viking Raiders, I love Street Profit a little more. So
well, it's going to be interesting to see how they turn it out, because so far the Profits have yet to beat the Viking Raiders in both NXT and on the main roster up to this point. And now that they are the champs, we're going to have to see if it continues forward. Is it bothering you that we're on the wrong side?
Yeah, a little bit. How could you tell?
There we go. Now it feels better. I'm usually on the right. She's usually on the left. So I was like, is it bothering you at all? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was bothering you guys. Like, wait a minute, he's supposed to be on that side, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, the whole case is over there for
So what's interesting, though, is the fact that we were looking at the preview for Money in the Bank, and McIntyre and Rollins is actually the only full Raw match on the entire card. Isn't that kind of interesting when you've got three other champions out there?
I'm trying to figure out how is it that you don't have more people from Raw on that card. It just boggles the mind. You have so much talent. You're the longest show. You're the 3-hour show, and you can only come up with one match. Now, in that saying, I'm excited for that match, but I would love to see more come out. And who knows? Vince might throw in a curveball and might put one in there. We won't know it until the day of.
If he's going to throw a curveball, he better do it soon. We're less than 48 hours away from the pay-per-view starting, so he needs to come on with it. And then just kind of going along with it, SmackDown tonight doing their part in making sure that they were getting themselves set up. You, first of all, kind of put what was supposed to be the end of the Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville storyline. I don't think we're anywhere close to the end. I think that's still got plenty more spit left in it.
I hope we're not. I mean, I'm liking the whole aggression with both women. Sonya sitting here saying, I've carried you for the longest. Mandy sitting here saying, I don't know what you're talking about, but you obviously have a problem with me that I didn't know. Let's go ahead and hash it out. Already going back to the last big pay-per-view, they had problems there. But Mandy didn't know it until after the pay-per-view, or the time of the pay-per-view. Either way, I hope that storyline's not done.
Let me ask you a question, because anyone who didn't watch, we didn't spoil who won. You guys can check out SmackDown, but let me ask you, did the right person go over? At least in their first contest.
With that, I love both women. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't. I feel like, no.
You don't think so? You don't think the right person went over?
With everything that's going on, I would have liked to see the other person go over, with obviously her getting a big push for everything that happened to her. There you go. That's kind of a hint dropper. No spoilers. But no, I don't think so. I mean, Sonya's crazy, and Mandy seems like she's got that fire in her. So,
no. Three other SmackDown direct matches getting set up for Money in the Bank.
Everyone.
Hey there. Three other SmackDown matches getting set up with a match tonight on SmackDown to set it up. You had Bayley and Sasha teaming up to take on Lacey Evans and Tamina, with Tamina and Lacey Evans going over, making Tamina a legitimate threat towards Bayley's supposed dominant championship run. Going to be interesting to see, because they've made Tamina look very tough. It's taken usually several women to put her down. And now Bayley's got to go out there and has to do it by herself this Sunday. We're going to preview it later, but, do you think they've set this up right?
I feel like there's going to be some shenanigans.
Sure.
I can tell you, I know I'm not the only person that thinks that. I know there's plenty of people out there, I'm not going to name no names, who feel that way. Yeah, again, Tamina is very dominant, and this whole team with her and Lacey, I love. You cannot understand how much I love that.
Only you can do it. There you go.
Like, literally, I have cosplayed as both, thanks to you, and I want to see something more come of it after this whole Money in the Bank thing. Now, to answer your question, I feel like shenanigans could happen, but I also feel like there will be an underhanded tactic that happens, but I feel like it's going to be due to Bayley. Now, Tamina, yeah, she's tough, she's strong, it takes plenty of women to put her down, but how is that going to work out for her? How is that going to work out for her this weekend? Is it going to be her strength over the longest reigning women's champion? Who knows?
And then you also have the SmackDown Tag Team titles being defended in a Fatal 4-Way. The new champs, The New Day, defending against Miz and Morrison. Lucha House Party and the Forgotten Sons. They've done a fantastic job over the 3 weeks since the Forgotten Sons made their debut to make sure that each team at one point has gotten a win directly over another team. Yep. So all teams kind of going in equal. So I honestly feel like that's one that could, really go in any direction. Which way do you want it to go? Do you want to put the Forgotten Sons on the championships? Do you want the New Day to keep it going? Again, we'll preview it later this weekend, but I think they've done a good job.
You know how I feel about, again, tag teams. I am like the biggest lover of tag teams outside of this whole women's evolution going on. I love Miz and Morrison. I'm not going to even lie. If I ever met them, it'd be just, oh my God. But as far as New Day...
FYI, she was gonna, and then they canceled Mania.
Yeah, but as far as New Day, I was the one... in the seats when it was me, you, and Casey saying, I don't think this is going to work. And lo and behold, they kind of had me like slapping myself. It's working.
We'll be the ones first ones to admit it. We did not think the New Day was going to pan out the way we thought. In the end, they've turned into one of the most, if maybe not the most, prolific tag team in probably the last decade. So we'll see if they can continue their run as now 8-time champions of WWE. And then, of course, the face-to-face tonight, Bray Wyatt going face-to-face with Braun Strowman, more of the mind games being played. I really don't think as good of a wrestler as he is. I just don't think Bray can match with Braun strength for strength, but then again, very few people can. But the mind games, shows like it's starting to get there.
He's got that. It doesn't matter about strength when it comes to, Bray. Because he's got the whole mental thing. Like I said, he's in his head. It's starting to where, now it's kind of breaking down and Braun's having to think about what's going on. Again, they're part of the same family. So you pit, family against family. How's that going to turn out? One person's going to win, one person's going to lose, one person's going to be happy, one person's going to be upset. But in my opinion, no spoilers, I know who I want to win.
You'll find out very soon.
On the prediction show.
On Top Rope Spoilers.
Exactly.
I've mentioned on the show already, on previous episodes, that there's a method to Bray's madness. There's a method to when he defeats someone. Now, granted, when he defeats them as the Fiend, they have tended to kind of resort back to the way they were when they were at their most successful. The Fiend, as much as he wants to play it off as he is an evil character, really the Fiend is fixing people. The Fiend is saying, you're not successful the way you are, so therefore, let me build you back up to the way you were. And he made a very nice, visual in the idea of, he said, you need to come home. You need to come back to the family, back where you belong. And now you look at it, considering that every other person who the Fiend has previously beaten, has resorted back to when they were at their most successful. Because you look at The Miz, he was at his most successful when he was teaming with John Morrison. You look at Daniel Bryan, his yes movement was when he was at his best. And so you look at, and then you look at the one outlier, which was his loss to Goldberg. Well, Goldberg's only had one persona, and it's been successful for 20 years. So therefore, there was nothing for the Fiend to feed on. So now you look at Bray and Braun, and you look at, when was Braun at his most successful? When was he at his most unstoppable? When he was the black sheep of the Wyatt family. And you can sit here and say, oh, well, he won the Intercontinental title and he won the Universal title. That's great. But was he at his most successful then, or was he bigger, badder, even worse then?
Well, you have to think back then, we didn't know who he was. All we know is we saw this big dude with this sheet mask, and we're like, okay, well, who is that? What can he do?
Scary dude.
What can he
Big
do?
dude.
What can he do? But now we know who he is, and we know what he's about, and we know what, he's willing to do to keep a title. He's willing to he's got height to his advantage. Like Bray has mentality, he has height, he has strength. So again, as far as that goes, he may have been great with the family, but I want to see what he can do on his own. I feel like right now, from what we saw tonight, I don't think that he's giving up this title. But I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll have to
We said no spoilers, and then she says he's not giving up the title, so kind of a spoiler.
I said I don't think he will, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll find out who she officially picks tomorrow. More on that in a little bit. But, of course, we can't sit here and talk about Raw and SmackDown, them getting set up for this weekend, and not talk about the absolutely loaded NXT we had this week. They set the card. Basically, this week's NXT could have very well been a takeover on any other given week because of the way they stacked the card. I mean, when you're opening the night with Johnny Gargano and Dijakovic, you know you're in for a good night.
And then, not only that, everything else that followed after. I'm just saying, I love Dijakovic, and I wasn't really behind him when he first came in, but I like what he brings to the table. But at the same time, I love what Johnny brings to the table. Johnny can play a heel role. Johnny can play a face role. Johnny can team with Ciampa. Johnny can team with his husband. And it doesn't matter what
Johnny's got a husband?
Wife, my bad. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, she's the Pixie Poison now. Don't piss off Candace now.
She might be coming after me. I'm okay with that. Either way.
She gonna eat first? I know that.
Yeah. Either way, I feel like you could give him any role to work with, and he will work with it. So, in my opinion, I could not believe that start of NXT.
Exactly. And then you continued on through the rest of NXT, and you had just continuing moment, just one big moment after another. The debut of Karrion Kross and his amazing entrance with Scarlett.
Yeah.
The entrance alone was worth taking the time to watch. He gets a squash win, no surprise for a big debuting name.
I think that chick's kind of off a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and go on the record.
Scarlett?
Oh, my goodness, yes. I love crazy people, as you know, Dexter Lumis, but that's not the point. The point is I love me some crazy people, and she seems like she's absolutely crazy.
And speaking of Dexter, of course, he also put his stamp on the main event that evening, a championship match between Adam Cole and the Velveteen Dream. Very well back and forth. Lumis, very similar to what he had done, keeping the people, the outsiders at bay, allowing Dream to get his one-on-one shot. In the end, though, Lumis maybe causing a little more trouble than it should have, and unfortunately it allowed Cole to escape once again, still the NXT champion.
I'm not going to sit here and hate on him, honestly. He literally has done everything that he's been asked with no ifs, ands, buts, nothing. I'm not going to do this. He has gone for the gusto. He has done, he's gone to Raw, done there. He has been on NXT, worked with that. He has fought any and everybody that is willing to have come after him for his championship. I consider him to be a fighting champion. I love him. I want it to keep going. And I don't see what you can't do with him.
Let's see what else ran in there. Of course, also Finn Balor calling out his attackers or attacker, and
the unknown attacker.
Yeah, well, Cameron Grimes choosing to come out and run his mouth a little, and ended up being on the wrong end of the Prince.
It's like, we see it, but is he seeing it? It's like, is he blind? Is he not hearing stuff?
I think he was facing the wrong way.
The fact that you would even have the guts, more like the cojones, to even say that, it's like you don't know what is going on right now.
Well, that match is going to happen next week on Wednesday, and I have a feeling we're looking forward to one bit of backside kicking for Mr. Grimes. And then, of course, not to be outdone, of course, the women, as always, come in and set the bar. The much-anticipated title match between Io Shirai and Charlotte Flair, making her first NXT Women's Championship since getting the title at WrestleMania. Ultimately ending in a very similar disqualification. So Io Shirai technically picks up the win, but it ends up leading to the return of Rhea Ripley.
Woo! I love Rhea.
Well, it's going to be interesting because Io wasn't exactly real friendly about, the help that Rhea chose to come in and give.
But here's the thing that Rhea mentioned. I didn't interrupt your match. I waited till afterwards. I love the fact that she is strong. She is tough. She did what she felt she had to do to get in there, get her point across without interrupting the match. So the fact that Io kind of took it the wrong way, I get it. This is my fight. You've already had your fight with Charlotte. It happened at Mania. You lost. Now it's my turn. That's what I feel. In my head, that's what she said. Now, I don't understand what she said.
Yeah, I was going to say, am I the only one, and this is a little question for you guys. Feel free to throw it in the comments. Am I the only one who wishes that they would just give Asuka and Io Shirai on their respective shows, just hand them a microphone and just let them just gab on commentary for a couple of hours?
That'd be
We
money.
can't understand a damn word they say, but you know, I think they'd have a ton of fun, and I know I certainly get some chuckles because I don't have a clue what they're saying, but it sounds fun to me. So
you know, you kind of have to make up in your head what they're saying. But I agree. If you give them a mic and you gave on their respective shows and you kind of let them run the microphone, oh yeah, that'd be comedy gold in my opinion.
Also being added to the match to the NXT card next week will be the NXT Tag Team Championships will also be on the line. Matt Riddle and his new partner, Mr. Thatcher, defending against UK join-ups, the Imperium.
How do you do the Imperium stance?
We don't have the music, so it doesn't help. But, you know, Imperium, because of the fact that anyone who has watched the UK brand knows that they are basically the UK's version of the Undisputed Era. They have been very dominant. They have been winning very often. Certainly credible threats, especially with us not really having a decent idea of how long Pete Dunne's going to be out. Also the likelihood that, you know, maybe Thatcher was there just to kind of be a placeholder and you need a permanent champion. People that you know can be able to stick around versus a split-up team. So this is one that I really feel like this one has all the makings of a potential title swap.
I don't know now. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I love me some Bruiserweight, but I hate the fact that Pete Dunne is kind of confined or stuck where he is, because that was kind of my team. I love them. And I know someone else out there, Haley, loved him as well. So, with that being said, I would like to see where it goes with the Imperium. They seem like they're a pretty tough group. Now, Walter, where was he? You usually see him with them. Where was he?
Well, what's interesting, and this kind of a good segue to end NXT, Finn Balor's looking for his attacker. Well, before all this COVID mess started down, it was Walter that was in his crosshairs. Then Walter goes quiet for a little while, and now all of a sudden someone mysteriously attacks Finn before a match with the Velveteen Dream. You know, maybe we'll see. But, you know, I can't wait to see where that story ends up. But he's got Cameron in his lines first, and I guarantee you the Prince won't miss.
But you want to know something? If we need anybody to figure out this mystery, it's going to be Izzy.
Oh, Detective Izzy.
Detective Izzy.
Already on the case. Although she's the one who said it was Dexter Lumis, and we know where he was. So you know, maybe get back out that magnifying glass, Ms. Iz. But NXT, as always, never to be outdone. They put on a very good show with a very good setup for next week.
Yeah, they did.
But you know, we've had a lot of good things to come up here. But of course, we're moving into a very unique Money in the Bank pay-per-view where they're going to literally climb the corporate ladder. But we're going to have plenty of time to talk about that. So let's go ahead and preview this weekend for those of you who took the time to join us and for those of us who will be watching this on YouTube, on Twitter a little bit later. We were able to finagle our schedule to where Questions with the Queen will still take spot at its normal 2 o'clock time. It is going to be a special Money in the Bank edition, so all questions that are going to be brought over will be related to Money in the Bank or Money in the Bank cash-ins. And then, of course, we want you guys to join us live. It's still at 2 p.m. Eastern, as it always is. And the questions we've got a line of questions that are ready to go, and also we're wanting you guys to come in and join us to be able to ask your own questions. What do you want to know about Money in the Bank? What do you want to know about cash-ins? What do you want to, you know, be able to speak about in terms of the pay-per-view? The only question you're not allowed to ask is, who are your picks at the match? Because later on that same night, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so that's 4 if you're on the West Coast, we will be having our second live episode of Top Rope Spoilers, where we will review the entire Money in the Bank card, go over all the matches, and most importantly, make our official predictions. Now, for those of you who watched it last time, the Queen here, 12-10 over me, so I got a little bit of catching up to do, but we will see if Money in the Bank will be able to do so. But again, as I started off the show, we were sponsored tonight and brought into the fundraiser by the CDC Foundation, based right out of here in Atlanta. They're doing fantastic work. Go look at their website. Make a donation. Again, we don't see a cent of it. You know, every bit of it goes to their foundation. They're doing fantastic work. They're working hard, keeping us safe, keeping everyone alive and healthy as best as possible, and also working towards getting us a vaccine so we can all get back into the arenas. So, go look at their website. They're doing great work. And for all of you who took the time to join us, I'm Steve.
And I'm Kia.
Yep, and we hopefully will both be present here, for future episodes. But as we said, duty calls when the little one cries our name. But for all of you, have a great night. Keep yourself safe.
Wash your hands, sanitize. If you can't get to soap and water, don't touch your face. Make sure you follow all the precautions.
Can I touch your face?
No, you may not touch my face unless you want me to. Also, when you go out, if you have to go out, wear your gloves, wear your mask, do what you have to do, stay 6 feet apart, social distancing. I want to get back to these arenas. I want to get back to my wrestling family. I want us to go ahead and do everything we need to do so this can happen.
Absolutely. So, everybody, y'all have yourself a good rest of your night. We will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern Time for Questions with the Queen. And then again, live at 7 for Top Rope Spoilers. Y'all have a great night. Money in the Bank. We're less than 48 hours away. Y'all have fun. We'll see you later on.
Bye. Love you.